highly anticipated moments of this conference are, of course, our LEX Talks. And we have some really, really interesting work that we want to share with you. And we have a tremendous group of researchers from CodeX and other places who will be sharing with us some of the important work that they're doing and that we feel is going to have a tremendous impact on the legal world in the near future. And you will see some of it first here at CodeX. So with that, I want to invite up Barclay Blair, who's the Senior Managing Director of DLA Piper's AI innovation team, who has kindly agreed to serve as the MC for this segment. Barclay is a seasoned legal technologist who's built several companies and is consultant to many kind of enterprises in various contexts, and so is tremendous experience in the space, and he will be running this next segment. So Barclay, please come up and take it away.
All right. What, no applause for the MC? Come on. Yeah. It's always good to get that out of the way because you never know how it's going to go, right? So yeah, I'm your MC, which fortunately for you doesn't mean I'm here to rock the mic. I'm here to run the session with an iron fist. No, very privileged and excited to be here with you today. Been here all week, actually. I was a judge at the hackathon on Sunday, and it's just an amazing set of events that Roland and the team have put together. So let's get started. So these are some of the brightest minds doing research and work in this area of law and AI, which is near and dear to my heart. 10-minute presentations. We get the privilege of hearing what's happening under the covers, what's coming next, and so let's give folks our full attention. Our first presentation is Jurimetrics Reloaded, which is that a sequel to Jurimetrics? No? Come on, that's funnier than that, isn't it? All right. Robert Mahari was Associate Director of CodeX, which you're all familiar with, where he focused on leading practice-oriented interdisciplinary research at the intersection of AI and law, has a JD PhD in legal AI from MIT and Harvard Law School, training that anchors his dual fluency in computer science and legal doctrine. So, Robert, come on up and tell us what you're up to.
It's exciting to be with all of you. I thought it would be kind of cruel and unusual to do a bunch of slides. So it's a technical talk, but hopefully it's a light technical talk. And I want to talk about a promise that we were made 130 years ago by Oliver Wendell Holmes, and a promise that I think, finally, is coming to fruition. So Holmes said that the lawyer of the future would be the man of statistics and the master of economics. And then about 50 years went by, and Lovinger said, Jurimetrics, it's finally time. We can finally do kind of statistics of law. And I think what both of these people meant was, we can apply the scientific method to study law. And we really struggled with that, right? We struggled with that because the way the scientific method works is that you collect a bunch of data, then you test hypotheses against that data, and then you find interesting trends and you publish, right, more or less. But the data that we have to work with in law is this unstructured behemoth, which takes all this specialized training to parse and understand. And so for 130 years, to do this kind of empirical legal research, what we needed to do is hire armies of RAs, get them to annotate legal text, and then hopefully find some patterns in that text. And so we worked with really small samples. And now, kind of a century and almost a century and a half later, I think we've arrived at a place where we have a technology that can help us extract and structure this unstructured text and actually pull out really interesting insights into how the law functions. And so it's exciting to be at CodeX leading a research group that does a lot of that. You'll hear from Ilya later on, who's done some of this work. But I thought I would just kind of take you on a bit of a journey. It's like a 4-year journey. It won't take 4 years. Of how this research has developed just relatively recently, and I think where it's headed. And so 4 years ago, Sandra Lira and I, who also works on this, were in Mexico City together, and we had this kind of breakthrough moment. We're on a balcony. Both of our partners were there at the time. They both realized that we would be not a lot of fun, so they left and let us code. By the way, we both married those people since then, so that's exciting. And the breakthrough was that we were able to map two data sets to each other. One had structured data on outcomes of disputes, of litigation outcomes, and the other one had the raw judicial opinions. And by mapping them together, we had about 30,000 rows that we could map. We could then train a machine learning model to annotate all judicial opinions based on whether the plaintiff won or the defendant won. And this was like huge, right? Because suddenly we can start studying interesting things. And the first thing we chose to study were judges. So we focused on this question of easy versus hard cases. The idea being that when a judge is confronted with a hard case, one where the result isn't spelled out in the law, then it's okay, it's legitimate to rely on things that are extraneous to the law, right? Like their sense of right and wrong, their moral compass, that sort of thing. But everybody seems to agree broadly that those hard cases are really rare. And so we figured if we could predict the outcome of judicial decisions based only on things that have nothing to do with the actual case, and we can do that systematically, well, geez, maybe there's a problem, right? And so what we did is we looked at what judges cited early in their careers. And the idea was this is some sort of proxy for their preferences, their idiosyncrasies. And then we tried to use those early career citations to decide how they would rule later in their careers, which is like, if you think about it, like one should tell you nothing about the other. Lo and behold, for about 8% of judges, we can systematically predict all the decisions they'll make. And that's interesting, at the very least. Okay, so we did that. That took us, we're still fighting with reviewers over that paper. So it's 4 years and counting. Project 2 is we took the same data set and we said, well, what about the law firms? And so we had a researcher, Alex Mojan. He spent about 9 months pulling the law firm names and disambiguating the law firm names from all of these litigation documents, and then building, if you're a chess player, the ELO ranking, essentially the same concept, but for lawyers, which means a ranking of law firms that reflects their actual litigation outcomes. 2 insights there. One, it has no correlation with Vault, MLaw, et cetera. And 2, we actually have a ranking where if you tell me what place the law firms have that are going up against each other, I can predict the outcome of the litigation with some degree of certainty. So that's exciting. And then that took like 2 years. A couple of nights ago, I was having dinner. So the next project we turned to is the kind of real Holmesian thing, which is predicting lawsuits, right? Just like straight up, can we predict the outcome of lawsuits? And so the idea there is we take all the litigation data we would have at the beginning when a litigation is initiated. We pull out all sorts of features. We're looking at hundreds of features. We have LLMs kind of annotate and pull this out. And so Sandro is working on this with me again. And the classifier there tested on about 100,000 cases, gets it right 81% of the time. And when the classifier is really confident, when our model is really confident, we're approaching 95% accuracy. So that's exciting, right? This is like the thing that Oliver Wendell Holmes wanted us to do. And that research took like a year. Ilya's work, which I don't want to spoil, took 6 months. And then finally, kind of looking into the future, we have a researcher, an undergrad at Berkeley. His name's Adith. And what I pitched to him was, can we do like the definitive legal AI study, comparative study of AI regulation? And so the pitch was, the provocation was, can you get all AI regulation in the world and then find every published framework by which to compare different AI regulations to one another, and then just do that mapping, right? Like apply every framework to every law, and have LLMs scour the internet and find all these laws. And it turns out that like in about 4 months, we're pretty much done with that, right? Like we've found every AI regulation and we've done it in real time, right? So that means that this updates as new regulation comes out, and we've plugged into, everything from Bangladesh to Burundi and from the United States, the United Kingdom. We're looking at all of those regulations as they come out. And the hardest part of that was building those integrations, right? Essentially like allowing the large language model to see what those regulations are. LLMs tend to be kind of lazy. And so if you say like find all regulation, they'll stop after 3 or 4, so you have to do some work. But the hard part was building the integration. And now we can like change this from AI to banking law to healthcare, like whatever like area of law you want to study. This is like the last 50 state survey, only it's global. And it's in real time. And so I don't know, I think like to start triggering some of the thinking and debates and like excitement, there's like this question of like, will we ever run out of science? And I think the answer is probably no. but like maybe we'll run out of like the science of law, right? Like I think we're getting to the point where we can do like just about any conceivable empirical legal study empowered by these models that essentially replace the RA, replace this like need for having a human extract data and like go from this unstructured to a structured form. One thing this doesn't do is it doesn't improve the law, right? Like it tells us what the law is. And in fact, like it might make the law worse in the sense that it shows you the playbook by which to take advantage of the cracks and the biases and the issues. And so I really think like, sunlight's a really strong disinfectant, but there's like a need for a whole nother type of scholarship that takes this and says like, how do we make things better? And I think ideally that holds itself to the same quantitative standards, right? Like how do we make things better in a measurable sort of way? And so, this is all about the understanding of law. I expect that, not only will the way that we approach law and understanding and studying law change, but also the people who are doing that work and also the people who are involved in this, right? And so like to dwell briefly on the CodeX research team, essentially all of us are non-lawyers. Or if we're not lawyers, then we also have computer science background. And I think that's kind of exciting. And I think that reflects kind of how law is studied. Maybe it will also reflect how law is practiced. And kind of the types of people that we'll have tackling that. So I think I'll leave it here. Can we do questions? Is that part of the program?
1 minute.
Awesome. I'll shut up, and if people have questions, I'm happy to take them. Yeah, I think this is a controversial response. So the question for anyone who didn't hear it is like, should we get judges to publish more structured opinions? And I think that ship has sailed. Like, I don't think we need that anymore. I think we've figured out, first of all, we've had 130 years and we couldn't do it, right? So that they didn't change all that time. I don't think they're going to change, but also I don't think we need them to change. And the other, there was always this problem whenever we thought about this is like, well, we can do it better going forward, but we have this legacy and we have to handle the legacy. And essentially like no system you build for us lawyers is going to be useful unless it can handle the legacy. And so now I think like we don't have to treat them as two separate problems. We will just accept the mess and deal with it. And I think we can deal with it in these very elegant ways, right? Like on the fly. So that's my time. Thank you.